Good afternoon, it's Lee Cassidy from Tactile Technology with our regular Wednesday session, which is our Ops Ramp Wednesday. Today is going to be slightly different because originally we talk about Ops Ramp and ITOM and AI Ops, but what I'm looking to do today is just tell you a few things that we're doing at the moment, and also how you could get involved in some of the activities that we're going to run, especially for Birmingham Tech Week, which I'm going to talk about in a second. So, we work with a really great ITOM, IT Operations Management and AI Ops, Artificial Intelligence for Operations platform called OpsRamp. OpsRamp is quite new to a lot of organizations, but what you can do is completely manage the whole of your infrastructure without any issues, and you can deal with any issues that happen within that environment using automation or sending out notifications to the right group of people in the right way, including things like telephone calls at night and plain text to voice, because you may have got someone on call rather than having somebody who's sat watching a computer screen at that point in time. So some really key things that you can do with an ITOM platform. But it also helps you understand more about your environment, what's happening there, the amount of infrastructure you've got in place, if it's dynamic as well, as it changes, it increases or decreases as that dynamic environment changes. And if you look at the way people are building out these more digital transformational platforms for their business, one of the key things is the use of containers, whether that's Kubernetes or traditional containers just running Docker. There's a lot of dynamicism in this. So containers appear and disappear, they move to different places. And especially if you're using one of our other partners, which is Diamanti, you can also move stateful workloads. So not only the application itself, but also the data that goes alongside it, the database or flat file data, with that container or set of containers. And that can move between an on-site cluster to another on-site cluster. It could also move to any of the public cloud providers and their Kubernetes services as well. So you're getting a lot of interesting options coming forward for the way that you develop and deploy application sets for your business now. And one of the key things is to be able to monitor and manage it. And that's where OpsRamp comes in really well. So what we wanted to do is to be able to show more of that. So we've worked with Diamanti, and early this week we've implemented a Diamanti cluster. So we've got a 4-node Diamanti D20 cluster, which gives us 24 cores per node, 4 nodes. We've got about 12 terabytes of NVMe RAM in there, 10 gig networking across the cluster. And what we can do is we can dynamically create workloads, whether that's something like Elasticsearch, whether that's setting up a Splunk cluster, or even building out a set of applications within clusters, or even pods across clusters as well. What we're also going to do then is build in this automated monitoring of that cluster, so we can actually see all the Kubernetes environment, including all the containers, and we can see them not only in that on-premise environment, but also in public cloud. So we're going to use things like GCP, so Google Cloud Platform, Amazon Web Services, AWS, and Microsoft's Azure platform to actually spin up containers and, again, dynamically monitor and manage those and deal with any issues there are. So we're going to set up some automation to do some automated remediation, so restarting containers or services when needed, as well as then notification of an issue afterwards. So we're going to do quite a lot of things, and what we wanted to do as well was to get more people to see it, because at the moment, if you're one of my contacts and you are available when I start live streaming at 3 o'clock each day, you get to learn a little bit about OpsRamp, Diamanti, Tintri, Vicada on a Friday, and generally what we're doing on a Thursday. But outside of that, there are a lot of people who don't get to see it. So we're going to start some specific events to let people know what we're doing. And one of the great platforms for this we used last year was actually using the Birmingham Tech Week. I'm just realising I've not retitled this stream, so I'll be looking like I'm yesterday still, Tintri Tuesday. So I'll change the title on the post later. But we are talking specifically about OpsRamp today. So we're setting up two events. One will be on the 12th at 2 p.m. to 4 p.m, 12th of October, and one on the 13th of October, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. So it's a 2-hour slot because we're going to do a lot of demonstrations. So what we're going to do on that first session on the 12th is we're going to build out an elastic search platform. We're going to spin that up in our local cluster. We're going to show the performance. And what we're going to do is, if we have time, show how we can migrate that and the data across to a public cloud environment, most likely going to be Microsoft Azure, because it seems to be one of the growing platforms at the moment. What we're going to do the following day on the 13th is we're going to show how you can monitor and manage that environment as it dynamically changes. So we can actually then increase the number of containers or decrease it, and we can see how that affects the monitoring. And we can introduce some problems to one of them, maybe reduce the amount of compute it's got to see how that affects the actual operation of the containers, and also then see the notifications and see the remedial actions we can do fully automated in that environment. So you get to see a complete deployment of a containerized high performance elastic cluster for your application set, and that's very similar to running Splunk, or if you wanted to go down a more stateful application based route with something like Kafka or MongoDB, very similar way to deploy, and you can see some of the performance benefits. You'll also be able to see how we can migrate those workloads around. And then finally, how we can monitor it, that dynamic environment. So we're not going to go in and keep checking if there's new parts of it or manually adding information. What we're going to do is automatically pick up the new container workloads that have appeared, and also their stateful storage, their persistent volumes, and we're going to be able to manage and monitor that. What we'll also do, if we get time, is to show you how you can also set up monitoring for cost, because that's one issue when we're looking at these hybrid multi-cloud environments, is understanding what the costs are. Because sometimes it's quite easy to look at the standard price and think, oh, that's very cheap, that will only cost me $14 per hour for that particular piece of infrastructure, or X amount of dollars per terabyte of storage. But when you put it all together and then you take account of all the other components in there and the amount of up and down movement of data, it can change dramatically from what you anticipate. And with the OpsRamp, we can actually set up specific events looking at costs. So we can specify, if we go above a certain cost, send us that. We can also take those metrics and display costs, so we can have a cumulative cost and break it across different areas that we're using, EC2 instances, S3 instances in an AWS environment, and similarly across those other environments. So I thought it'd be useful to give you a picture of what we're trying to achieve over the next few weeks, ready for the Birmingham Tech Week event. We've got the work on our hands to get everything together, because we want to make sure you can see everything we do, so it's a completely open process. So describe what we're going to do and do it, so you can see all the process and you get to ask questions and get involved in it. What happens if I now do this? So we can actually introduce some maybe problems or increase scaling, anything you want to do in that environment. We can even go through all the coding aspects of it, how we're using specific sets of code from GitHub, and how we deploy that, the type of automation we can do in that deployment mechanism as well. We have got customers who are looking at using things like Salt. There are people using Ansible and Terraform. So we can go through some of those pieces as well in that process of deployment. And then afterwards, on the second day, when we look at the ITOM side and the AI Ops, we'll then show you what we can achieve in that environment dynamically, and what we can do around scripting in that space as well, because we've got the ability to run scripts or to run runbook scripts in there. So a set of particular scripts can be run against a particular environment. So we're going to get that all set up, get that ready for you to see, and show you that on the 12th and 13th of October. Hopefully that's been of use for you today, tell you a little bit more about what we're doing. We're very keen to show more people what we're doing around OpsRamp, so I am reaching out to some of you through LinkedIn that I believe they'll be interested in what we can achieve there. So look out for those messages from me in LinkedIn. If you are interested, let me know when's a good time to have a look at it. If you're not, just let me know rather than just ignoring my messages. That would be great. Right, thank you very much for your time today, and hopefully see you tomorrow, which is our Thursday edition. And on a Thursday, we do Tactile Tech Thursday, where we talk more about what we're doing as an organization. So we've got a few things to tell you there as well. Thank you very much.